What up, everybody? This is the one, the only, the original babyweight champion of the world, Patrick, your host of the Fringe podcast. Welcome. Thank you for joining us for this epic episode. We have a very, very good friend of mine. This is episode 14, I think, even though we've lost like 20 episodes. So, yeah, we're kind of starting over. But I got one of my dear friends on the line. We had some technical difficulties, but I think we got it all sorted. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I would like to introduce to you the one, the only, the original Luke Day.
What's up, man?
How you doing,
Thanks
brother?
for having me on.
For sure.
Like, you said you lost, like, you need to, whenever you record them, you have, like, the lost tapes. You do, like, a release of wherever those things are. Like, they had to go somewhere. Somebody has them on a server somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody's holding on to them. Yeah, it's been good, man. It's been good. We moved everything, and so yeah, getting set up, and yeah, I wanted to reach out. So there's so much we can dive into. First of all, I want to say, how's the weather? How is the weather down in beautiful South Carolina?
Brother, it doesn't get any better than in May in South Carolina. Now, by the time June hits, July, it's not for the weak of heart. It'll blow your head off hot. But right now, it's like perfect. So it's awesome.
Nice.
About 80, what are we, 80, high of 89 today. Blue skies. So.
Toasty. Yeah, it's been crazy here, man. It's been like, it's nice one day, and then the next day it's Ohio. So,
That's the Ohio Valley, baby.
The people are the people crash out and the weather crashes out. Ohio.
Well, I think the people crash out because of the weather.
Because of the weather, exactly.
It's a huge part.
It's so funny, man. I always tell people, like, you don't realize how cloudy it is here and how overcast it is until you go live somewhere else, And
yeah, man, absolutely.
I was born in Denver, and so it's like living out there. You get 300 days of sunshine a year, and then you come to I call it the gray blanket.
Yeah,
that seasonal.
Like, I couldn't believe that people don't. When I moved around the country, not everyone eats for recreation. Like going out to a restaurant is not their source of entertainment. I couldn't believe it. Like, people are, and then because of that, they're generally just thinner than the Rust Belt. It's but it's a hardy stock of folk that can take that on, and nobody will accuse you of being soft growing up there.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, there's a resilience and grit to, we'll get to your theme here in a minute, but there's a resilience and a grit to Midwest people that, like, you cannot find anywhere else,
You have to be that way.
That's the only way you survive, right? The winters, all that stuff. So yeah, man, I'm stoked to have you on. I appreciate you, man. We miss you guys.
Of course.
And we'll hop into a couple of things. First thing I want to say, man, like, how you're on off season. If you're not familiar with who Luke Day is, currently he is an amazing dad. He is an artist. He's a creator. He is a fellow podcaster. Has a media company. We'll jump into all that at some point. But he's also one of the strength training coach for the Gamecocks down in South Carolina. And
yeah, man,
it's funny. My nephew's playing for his old high school, and I heard they're coming down. Man, that's cool.
Yeah, they've been doing that. So the head coach at Hamilton High School, where I went to school, and with the position coach at the time, my coach is now the head coach at Hamilton, and so he's been bringing his guys down since we've been here at South Carolina. It's cool, man. It's cool that those guys get to see something and get to see some parts of the country that are outside of the greater Cincinnati area and see some. This is possible. This could be you. This, whatever that is, just letting them dream a little bit and see things down in here, the SEC and this conference and stuff. It's cool that he provides that experience for them, for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's and we've talked about this, the importance of people getting outside of their bubble. Shout out to homeboy that was just drafted from Hamilton, Ohio. I forget what team did he get drafted?
Yeah, man. I got to remember that. But yes, very, very cool. Very
that's cool to see, in Hamilton, if you're not familiar, if you're listening from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, Hamilton is a smaller town in Ohio. We got about 66,000 people, give or take, around this area. And so I think oftentimes people that grow up in small towns, Appalachia, they live in that environment. And I know this is something that you're really passionate about. They live in this bubble. And like even around here, it's kind of strange. People don't venture out much. Like they don't even go to like Dayton or Cincinnati. I'm not saying nobody, but a lot of them they don't get out, and they think, that this is all there is. And I remember growing up in the hood up in Cleveland, and it's like you grow up in that concrete jungle, and you think, man, this is all the opportunity. This is all that there is out there. And then eventually, if you're able to experience getting out, you see, oh man, there's a whole world out here. Why don't you speak to, that and like why you're so passionate about that?
Well, I just think that perspective is a large chunk of your human experience and your humanity for other people. When you have an awareness of what is possible in your life and other people's lives, the bubble is not just people living in impoverished areas. I mean,
it's the opposite too. Yeah.
I've seen the opposite. There's a bubble in, Malibu,
right?
Where you think I think people are as frustrated or demoralized or ridiculous as their environment allows them to be.
So true.
It's when I don't like, I heard this and I wish I could cite it, but it was like, if we get all of our problems solved, we don't just sit contently. We find new problems to solve.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so as you work your way up the hierarchy of needs, you start inventing more things that are an issue. If you have food, water, shelter, and a tribe to belong to, and you have purpose and self-worth, then you're going to make up things to be really outraged about.
Yeah.
And then vice versa. If, you can't go to the hood and probably do a bunch of canvassing about the environment.
Right,
because we should care about the environment because the future of our planet. Well, when you're poor, the future is lunch.
Facts.
I heard Jordan Peterson say that one time.
So
if you want the whole planet to care about the planet, then get them out of poverty.
Yeah.
And there's, but like, I don't care to throw a candy wrapper out my window when I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay the rent.
Right.
So sometimes we do this whole,
that's so true.
Global warming, all this kind of stuff. And we lack empathy for people because look, dude, you don't understand what it's like to wash your clothes in the bathtub because you don't have detergent. You don't understand what it's like to eat Cheetos because you don't have any money. Like the food stamp thing didn't drop. Like, so don't talk to me about global warming. Like, what are you talking about?
So true.
And that's just that's one little caveat. But what I'm saying is everybody everywhere is really a product, and their thought process is a product of their environment.
For sure.
And that is I think the essential need to get out, to travel, to see things that broaden your horizons. If the best thing that you think is the most expensive car at the end of the block on your neighborhood and having a job, not that that's not commendable to take care of your family and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But if you've got bigger dreams than that, but you're like, yeah, but I'm from Hamilton, so I'm not qualified. I reject the theory that people instantly disqualify themselves from experiences that otherwise could be available to them if they were willing to, one, be bad at it at first, be a little bit humiliated at first, and then it'll open up for you. But everything's on the first side of sucking at it or being embarrassing or people thinking you're nuts for doing it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it starts happening. And then those same very people are either jealous of you or they're going to tell themselves a story why they shouldn't do that because it's too convicting to yourself to think that you could have done that too. So it's a very, very complicated, layered thing, but I think everything is wrapped up in perspective. You know, the way that we treat each other, the just racism itself,
Yeah.
like everything is, if I can understand a little bit, I don't have to agree with it, but if I can understand where it's coming from, then it's probably hard to hate up close, or it's probably hard to have a self-worth problem if I think that I am eligible to do some really, really cool stuff. And so people like R.B. Crouch at Hamilton High School, broadening young people in Hamilton's horizons as to what you could do, you know, what opportunities are actually available to you as a kid that grows up in Hamilton, not just somebody from New York or some cool place that you always hear in our, you know, societal mediums that always come out. Like it can happen to you. You can do this. This is big living is available to you.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really, really hard.
There you go. You know, I've always told people, you know, in regards to music, because I've toured, done the whole music thing, and I've always told people, like, you don't have to go to New York or LA, homie. Like, you gotta grind. You have to work. It's not gonna fall into your lap, and you don't have to go there for something to happen. And you may eventually get there, but you don't have to. Purpose is it's not solely geographical, and you are not limited by your environment. You're not, you know, we go in the prisons and stuff, and, you know, that's a big part of those guys too. It's like, hey man, like, this may be all you've ever seen, but I want you to know that you're more than this one moment of your life.
Yep.
So, you know, there's so much we could talk about. You know, obviously you've done coaching, high school. You were with the Bengals at one point. You were, was it Colorado, the Buffaloes? You were with them for a while.
Yeah, I was in Colorado for like a breakfast and a lunch.
Right.
Very, 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 very quick. Yeah.
And then, you know, now you're down in South Carolina with the Gamecocks. You were with Marshall at one point. Dude, there's something that you said a while back that I thought was so good, bro, and I thought it would be dope to tap into it. When you were talking about coaching, we were talking one day on the phone. We were talking about coaching and just how, you know, your method of coaching, I think, is beautiful. I think it's very unique. And we were talking about how you've kind of tapped into some of the, you know, the Gary Chapman, the 5 love languages, and really understanding what these guys need just on a primal level before even football, and how that, in tapping into that, how that drastically, not only does it help them grow as men and become good men, but it translates onto the field. And so why don't you speak to some of that? Because I think that's powerful. And I think, you know, you're for those kids that have you as a coach, like, that is, it's not just affecting their talent and their ability to get drafted and, you know, possibly move to the NFL or to move to a Division I college. It's affecting them as men. And I think that's powerful and beautiful.
Well, I think it's a long time ago, I realized that, you know, it's a game, and we're playing a game that you keep score, and you wear different costumes, and people take their Saturdays off and they go crazy and all those, and they cheer and they get really, really mad if their team doesn't win and all that kind of stuff. And so I've wrestled with, why does this matter so much? And even, does it matter?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, but I see young people who really, it's hard for them to get passionate or motivated or loud or have energy about really anything, give almost everything that they have to sport, or to, you know, to football, to whatever sport that they're playing. And I've it's just like a philosophical, like, why are they doing that? Why is that happening? Why does it matter to them so much? And why does it upset them so bad when they're not good at it? And really, so then you hear coaches say, we want guys that love football. They want to love football. And I've said this before on other interviews and things like that. And so I ask guys just straight up, do you love football? And it would be totally taboo for them to say, no, not really.
Yeah.
But when I, you know, and why, okay, what do you love about it? And they can't ever give me specifics. You know, and and I can't say this for other people I don't know, but maybe they could give you like painters. Oh, I love, bringing something to a canvas or, I don't know. But they say it's all I've known. They say that over and over and over. It's all I've done. And really what that means is I have attached this to my identity. I've made my reality. I have constructed my reality out of being a football player. And I know I've said this before and people are probably sick and tired of it, but I think that the things that we love, and it is football, are the things that make us feel loved. It's not necessarily how much we love that thing. It's the thing that make us feel valuable. It's the things that make us feel connected to people. It's the things that make us feel like we have autonomy and control in our life. It's the things that make us feel like we're good at something. And in a young person's life, that's an athlete that has some athleticism and some abilities and some size and some speed, and specifically to this sport, it's football. So I always said that coaching is just an extremely specific channel to love somebody really, really effectively in a way that all their other loved ones can't love them.
Yeah.
Like when we go meet with a recruit, I go, I am not interested in loving you like your mother or your father or your brother.
Yeah.
And a big kind of thing right now in sports and in football and recruiting is we constantly throw out, it's all about relationships, all about caring about each other and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of the flavor of the month to make kids trust you. Right. And I go, look, let's just be honest with this thing. Like we can say the truth here that this exchange is about me making you better at this thing that you care about to help the lives of the people you care about the most.
Yeah.
So me just saying how much I care about you doesn't affect you.
No.
It doesn't matter. Like, so that whole thing about, there's that old thing, like nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Like in this business, I don't think that applies.
Yeah.
Because they don't care how much I know unless they can know it too, and it applies to them and what they're trying to do. That's what it is. It's not because I've seen plenty of bad coaches dap people up and hug them and love them and tell them all that kind of stuff. You're not helping that kid. So what I say this exchange is, because you bumped into me, because I'm with you during this period, however long it may be, because we get transfers that have 1 year of eligibility. We have true freshmen that have 4 to 5 years of eligibility. We have guys that probably will be here and they're going to declare I have interfaces with guys for 6 months at a time or 5 years.
Yeah.
And I said, however long that time that we're going to cross paths, well, it's going to be better that you and I were together than if we weren't.
That's good.
And if that happened, if that exchange took place, then real love took place. To go back to Jordan Peterson, is like, love is his definition of love is it's the highest aim you can take at something for someone.
So good.
So in this specific environment, as in this endeavor that we're trying to win football games, you're trying to perform well, be one of those major contributors to how we win football games, and then get drafted and go play this game and financially secure generational wealth for your family, whatever that is. We're going to give you tools and guides and resources that make that more possible than if you didn't know us. And if we facilitate that for you, then that's how we love you.
Yeah.
Because when people say, "Oh man, I'm not your family. I'm not you. I don't have to love you. It's business." I think that you can go pour concrete for somebody and love them.
Absolutely.
By doing a really, really good job.
Because you've poured concrete.
Yeah. I stood there while they were pouring concrete. I got yelled at for just being in the way.
You missed that. You'd rather be out there.
Oh yeah, dude. Scotty's gonna listen to this. So
shout out to Scott.
Yeah, exactly. So, those people, like, when Scott and his crew, like, I was convicted by them because they really we're pouring a driveway, whatever it is, like, they want it to go really, really well.
Yeah.
Because that's the way that they're going to show, hey man, you picked us to use our skill set and our product, and you're gonna park on this thing every single day, and it's either going to be a constant reminder that was a terrible interaction with bad people, or I came across people that were in pursuit of being masters at what they do, and they cared so much about it, and they cared about me to do it well, that every time I park my car, I get to be reminded of that. Like, I just think that the things that we make, the services that we provide, the interactions that we have, right, is how we love each other. Definitely. And I think that's why professions and employments and all of those things matter. You know, they do matter. Otherwise, I mean, I just don't think that, and I think that's why it gets cloudy with sort of our Christian walk with faith, and especially, you know, I call them realistic Christians, or Christians that are just trying to live their life. You know what I mean? They're not at a million church services a week or anything like that. They're like, a bush probably won't ever talk to them. Yeah. Right? They're never, probably not going to have those types of unbelievable, and I'm not saying that they don't happen. I'm not saying this isn't that conversation that we're having, but I just think that we can make God real to each other by how we're doing our job with each other.
That's powerful. And it reminds me of Genesis, how at the beginning, I think our identity, even before what they call the fall, our identity was to create and to build and to tend things and to garden and to create things, right? Creativity. I think everybody is a creative. I don't believe the lie that, just people who take photos and paint paintings, or somebody that can pick up a guitar as an artist. I think we're all artists in our own way. And I think when you see somebody, if they're taking that kind of pride in concrete, if it's coaching, if it's, the player who's trying to strive to be the best athlete he can be, that still has kept his soul in the process of that, it strikes up the conversation. Like, why is it that you do this way? Why is it that you take such care in what it is that you're creating? And I think the challenge is, as you get to Genesis chapter 3 and the chaos that breaks out, I think it's, one of the curses that Scripture talks about that falls on men is, you're going to find if you're not careful, you're going to find your worth and your value solely in what you can produce. Right. And so I think that's the challenge. Like, I want to be excellent. I want to strive. I want to create something. I want to be the best coach. I want to be the best concrete guy, but how do I not make that weird and not make it my identity? And I remember painting a dude's house. I won't say his name, but shout out to the NBA player up in Cleveland. He got a career-ending injury, and it's crazy because it wasn't even that bad. He's a basketball player, and it was just something where he couldn't play at that level anymore. But he had like a $40 million contract that they had to honor, which they should, and so he's like just living his life, And I could tell, he had this beautiful opulent house. Was a nice guy. Was still down to earth, and but you could tell now that he wasn't wearing that jersey. He was really struggling with, like, who am I as a person? And so I'm sure that you deal with that, and you probably see that with some of the players. Like, hey man, if you don't make the draft, or you don't, this doesn't open up, who are you at that point? Have you seen that? Have you struggled with that? Have you dealt with that with some of the guys?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think it is a very, very difficult, slippery slope that takes place when you're in the middle of something that culturally is highly valued. Yeah. Or you can feel that people care about this, and you're in the middle of it. And then all of a sudden you're not, and you don't know how to feel. Yeah. And you hear these stories of people that come out of the military, right? And they really, really struggle with purpose. I think I've always thought that the Abraham and Isaac story is to me, the healthy line to toe with your blessing so that you don't start worshiping your blessing or you don't start being consumed by it, right? Because Abraham's blessing was his promise, right? He was promised a son, and then he waited forever, and people thought he was nuts and all those kinds of things, and then he has a son at like a ridiculous age,
99,
and that's 99 years old. I mean,
can you imagine, bro?
I mean, I get it. We were living a little bit older, or longer back then, but
a little more oxygen in the atmosphere.
Correct, right? You got a little more. You got more natural sunlight, vitamin D, and he was eating less seed oil, whatever. It's like, okay, but the bottom line is, I think it's like God didn't. It didn't really take off till he was willing to put a knife in it.
That's powerful, bro.
You know what I mean? It's like and when I quit coaching at UCF, that was the conviction. That was like my sky splitting moment. And and I'm not going to be like pseudo spiritual to where like, and I knew God said it. I might have made that up in my head. I listened to whatever told me that was like, if you're really all about this, you're telling everybody how much, God loves them, and you're doing the team chapel ministries and all that kind of stuff. But then let's just be honest, dude, like you're doing that so that people, lift you up and compliment you and tell you how great of a guy that you are. Your ministry is yourself. So if you want to make this thing real, stick a knife at it and just quit. And so I did. And basically ruined my life.
You've had to do that many times over.
I've done that. Yeah.
Multiple times. Yeah.
I have. Because the other thing is, it's like, it's not a bedtime story. It was like, and then at the end, like I had that epiphany or whatever, and then the end, like it creeps back, and because here I am being, myself, and I make mistakes and being a nasty sinner that I am on this side of heaven, and it's a hopefully not, it's not an eternal struggle. It's a mortal struggle.
Yeah.
It's on this side to where it does come back all the time. And so you're constantly balancing, checking yourself to where, all right, what am I letting this turn into? What am I letting myself acknowledge about what Kool-Aid am I drinking about this when it goes well? And then vice versa. Because I've had, 2 years ago, nobody wanted to hear what I thought about coaching. Everyone said I was supposed to get fired.
Right.
So it's like, if a couple more guys get hurt this season, they'll do that all over again.
Yeah.
So it's a finicky, flaky, it's sand, it's pixie dust that you're chasing to have people tell you your worth and your value, and to have people tell you how great you're doing at something. It's like, I've had people come up like, man, you're doing a great job. I'm like, you don't know. You don't know. You're the same person that was saying I was doing a terrible job. Right. No. Yeah. Either way.
Yeah.
And so you be cordial with those people, and you be, nice, but like, you don't know.
Yeah.
And so you learn to keep I'm cool with a lot of people. I'm close with very, very few.
Same. I heard somebody put it. I heard somebody put it this way: you're not your best day, and you're not your worst day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not. And obviously we've done a lot of work with the prisons and people coming out of addiction, and we had that tagline that we tell people, you're more than the worst thing that you've ever done.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, you're more than the best thing you've ever done. You know what I mean? And don't start smelling yourself. You know what I mean? Like and you should by all means celebrate those wins and those successes. You know what I mean? And enjoy it. And it's a gift, but don't be defined by it.
But I think that I heard this that was like, I don't think we're supposed to know as much stuff as we know now, right? We're not omniscient beings. And so like you'll constantly run into enough information about somebody that will give you a contradiction about that person.
Yeah.
Right. it's like, oh, this guy's a terrible guy, and then that's the guy that helps you move, right? And you're like, oh, I don't know, or vice, he's the best guy I ever known. And then that guy cheats on his wife or whatever, and you're like, I can't believe that. And it's like, well, stop just putting people. They're not albums at the old record stores that you put them in this thing. They're human beings that are going to have problems and issues, and they're going to have good times, and we're big giant contradictions to ourselves. And then like what cracks me up is people like just comment on like world politics and that they think that they know
because they saw one article.
They're
experts on Middle East conflict now.
Yeah. It's like I've been sitting next to athletes that are on like the bottom line on Sports Center ticker, like headlines, saying they're somewhere else. Like they're so and so is visiting with this team right now. I'm like, no, they're not. I'm sitting here having lunch with them.
Right,
so I'm like, so that's the way it is with this stupid stuff. It doesn't even matter. Can you imagine what it's like with people that there's real things with like life and death consequences, but like somebody's going to watch Pick Your Side, Fox News or CNN or whatever, and be a Facebook post, and it's just we comment way too often. We judge way too quick. We think we've got a grasp on, and I get it. We're trying to construct a reality that makes sense to ourselves, but it's really okay to acknowledge that it's okay if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
We're not God.
I secretly hope that one day we get hit with an EMP, and that's those electromagnetic pulse bombs that, they'll cut out the internet and we'll have to actually talk to each other.
Exactly, man. But and I don't think I think we got to cut ourselves some slack too, because we're just like, all we do is look at our phones and but it's like, and that's true. But if you can Google some images of like, when like World War II was over and hundreds of people are standing in the street reading the newspaper.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the difference?
It's a different newspaper.
Like,
yeah.
It's a brighter, flashing, more interactive newspaper that can demand your attention for longer. But like, we're just people, man. We've done this before. We've fallen and fallen for the tricks and all those types of things many, many times, over and over and over. But we have recency bias and we have short-term memories, and we think that it's the worst it's ever been now.
Yeah. For sure. I was watching Theo Von. I love Theo Von.
Unbelievable.
And
unbelievable.
He'll say something so out there, and then he'll say something so profound in the same sentence.
Oh yeah.
And he was talking about humanity in one of his podcast episodes, and he was like, if you think about it, man, like this is our group, the people that we're here alive with, like this is the group that we get to be with. And we should treat each other nice because this is our group. And like, there was a group before us and there's going to be a group after, but this is our group. And I'm like, like that's actually that's powerful, bro. I love that. Like,
it is.
Like, you're the person that I see in Kroger. You know what I mean? You're the person that, it's interesting.
Of all the people that I could have seen that's ever been here and are going to be here, you're the person.
Yeah. I was preaching on that last week about identity, and I was talking about how, like there's this powerful verse where it says that all of creation is eagerly waiting for the sons and daughters of God to be revealed, right? And it's like this epic cosmic pronouncement. There's so much to that you can unpack. But as I started to think about it, it was like, really what it's kind of getting at is like there was going to be Luke Day born one day and Patrick Davis, you know what I mean? And like all of creation and God himself was waiting for this person to be born to be a vehicle for his unique expression to the world. You know what I'm saying? And does he need me? No, he'll do it with or without me. Right. I posted something about this on TikTok, and of course, the theological police want to come in, and I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. Relax, just think about it. He's going to do it with or without us, but it is powerful and it's beautiful. Like you have such a unique expression, and like like he doesn't need another me. He doesn't need another you. Like we're meant to be our unapologetic self, man. And like, I don't know, when I think about like, this is the group that we're in, and you know what I mean? We're here for this time. Like that's a powerful thing to think about. Like God wants, it took me a while, bro. Like I struggled, and we've talked about this as friends, like, you know, pastoring, and I resisted that call for a long time because I hate institutional religion. I hate a lot. I shouldn't say all of it, but I hate a lot of what is labeled American Western Christianity. And I don't fit the description of a preacher. I don't have the haircut. You know what I mean? I don't have. Right. I don't wear that jacket. You know what I mean? Like I don't talk with that weird voice. My voice doesn't change when I get up there, and all the other stuff that's way worse than that. And so I struggled and I resisted for a long time. Then I finally, you know, found some freedom and realized, hey man, like I didn't go through everything I went through, and was born in the city that I was born, and raised how I was raised, to be someone that I'm not. Like just chill out, bro, relax, and like just lean into who I made you to be, and stop apologizing for yourself, and work through some of that abandonment issues from your dad, and you're going to be all right. Mm-hmm. That's been a little harder, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
No, I think the reoccurring thing that, and I was talking to my wife last night about it, is like I always think that I'm out of time, or like this is gonna end. Like if this good thing it's where we. So it's like I try. Like I'll set a record for the amount of different activities you can fit in a day.
Sure.
And sometimes I'm doing it and it's like, man, I wish like I didn't have to do this right now. And then I'm like, no one said I had to do this. Like we could be just chilling.
Yeah.
But then if I'm sitting just still, I feel guilty. Oh, we should have did that today or whatever. And it's like this constant, like I have created that FOMO, the fear of missing out or whatever. I don't think I'm missing out because I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm really kind of doing it by myself. Like when I have time off, but it's the fear of running out of time.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because, you know, my dad died at a younger age or whatever that is, but it's like, it's a healthy balance between, you know, what do you want to create? Let's go do something epic. Let's do awesome stuff and all those kinds of things. Cause it's like you just said, that all of creation is waiting. And I'm like, well, then how in the world could he let me be stuck in this Chick-fil-A line right now? Right. He's like,
for sure.
Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. Like, I'm not wasting my time with that, you know? So I'm trying to find that balance of like being able to chill, you know, to where I'm not just torturing my wife and kids, but also being able to stay on that, go get it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you can. I think you can do both. And, you know, I just interviewed, I don't know if you remember Christina and Jeff, the photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, he passed unexpectedly, went for a walk one day. She was here yesterday. We recorded an episode yesterday. It's powerful, bro. Powerful. And so, you know, we were talking about how, you know, just the sacred nature of life, and how fragile and beautiful that life is, and how really, if you really think about it, all we have is today, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like tomorrow, and we all say that, but like when you think it, when you really stop and just marinate on it, bro, like, like I have today. Like tomorrow is an illusion. I think it'll come, right? It usually does.
Right.
Yesterday is over. It's gone. Literally, that's all we have is today. And for me, like that's what I've been trying to really lean into in my own life personally, is just the practice of presence. You know, Sarah is going to school to become a hospital chaplain, and that's a big part of what they do. Yeah, man. It's just like, you know, your job isn't necessarily to fix their medical situation. You're not the doctor. You're not the nurse.
Right.
You're the presence.
Right.
And, you know, not everybody's going to get the happy ending here, you know, and she had a situation today. She was with somebody it was terminal, you know, there was no, but sitting and presence and there's beauty and power in that. Right. And it doesn't mean we can't be disciplined and have goals and all that stuff, but I think you can hold one in each hand.
Yeah. And then I guess like my thing, the other side of that I muddy up is like I'm almost ultra aware that we just have today, and I'm super pissed off that it's raining.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like we just have today, and it's like this.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how do that's what I'm trying to do. Is how do I work on acknowledging that we just have today, but if today didn't go like the script I wrote about it,
right,
can I be okay with that?
for sure.
You know? And so that's another, like, it's great when you, like, a lot of people don't have that, you know, they spend a long time learning that urgency. Well, I'm just cautionary tale. When you learn that urgency, there's another side of this to where you're like constantly upset that it didn't go like you wanted it to go.
For sure.
That's where I'm at. You know, I don't know what the answer is on that one.
Definitely, man. You know, we've talked about it in the past, and you know, you've shout out to Man Child Media. We'll link all that stuff in the we'll link all that stuff in the podcast.
I don't know what there is to link, but yeah,
there's some blogs on there. I was just looking at it, man, just to make sure it's still there. But no,
I think it's still
No, it is.
GoDaddy.com still pulling the thing out of my account, so yeah, it's still there.
Yeah, no, there's some good stuff in there. And so, you know, you started this media company. You guys do you do shirts, you do short stories, podcasts, you know, blogs. It's powerful. We'll post a link. But the main theme of that company that you're launching, or that you've launched, is struggle well. And why don't you speak to that? Like, because I think if there's anything that people need to hear, it's that, because we're all. I was watching the Supper Club video recently, and you know, we're all just barely. I think you said in the video, we're all just barely making it. You know. And there's something about, and it's so true, bro. Like, everybody from the person in the penthouse to the guy on the corner, we're all struggling through life, man. And so why don't you speak on that theme on learning how to struggle well? What does that mean? And then just the need for grit. How do you balance those two?
Yeah. So the idea, the whole thing behind it was like, we've already kind of been touching on it, of just this burning desire to want to do cool, epic things. And maybe you are not in a current setting, a place, resource, skill set, whatever, to where it feels completely overwhelming or out of reach that you could ever, going back to that word, be qualified to be a part of something like that. And that whole, posers. Remember that was a big thing, like late 90s. Like, oh, he's a poser. Aren't we all?
We all are.
And the acknowledgement that it's okay. If you start out doing something, you're a poser, and that's okay. And I think what we do is, you said this one time, I think it was in one of your messages when I was at church with you, and you were like, nobody is posting their unpaid electric bill, right? Nobody, like, you're posting your dubs, you're posting things that put you in a light of a aspirational identity that you want people to think that you are, and that's fine too. I think it's weird if you did the other
one. Same.
So like, that's probably what you're supposed to do, and people should be happy for you. But what it does, if we're not conscious of it, is we instantly, because we are ourselves, and that's unavoidable, compare how we're doing with what I'm seeing.
Yeah, everybody else is winning all the time.
Correct. What's going on? Why do I suck at this so bad? You know, and I think that's our obsession with talent. Yeah. And two ways is, it's unfair that this person gets to be this good at something or gets to do this thing and I don't. Yeah. But it's also the great excuse, because that person is talented, I am let off the hook from ever having to try to be that.
That's good, man.
You see what I'm saying? I think that is the great dismissal of someone, is to say, man, they're just so talented. And it's like, no, dude, like, that's 10,000, 100,000 hours of misery that you did not get to be a part of to be able to be called that talented.
For sure.
You know? And so what I saw was
So
a gap in medium that was celebrating all the sucking at it first.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a collection of those people that I was seeing on Instagram and was having that reaction to. And I go, all right, for my own catharsis, I'm going to reach out to these people, and I want to know how you got to that point.
Yeah. Where did it suck in the process? Yeah.
Yes. Tell me I'm not the only one that sucks at everything he tries. Yeah. And what was fun was I was finding out that wasn't the case. And they're like, oh, dude, I freaking failed at this 100 times. I did this. And then when you get up close, people say don't meet your heroes because you'll be let down. Like I say, go meet your heroes so that you can see that they're human beings.
Right.
Like, and you can see that they're conflicted and they have problems and they have issues. And then you're like, oh, wait, this is way more accessible because I have a functioning brain and I have the ability to learn. And so now, like you said, if we're finding out that everybody sucks at everything when they first started, then we can really. It's not impossible. Now, not to say we're not inclined to certain things. Some people they just can't carry a tune, so don't say you want to be a singer.
You're tone deaf, dude.
Yeah, exactly. If your foot's on backwards, don't say you want to be an Olympic sprinter. Like whatever, you know. Just let's be honest too with ourselves. Let's have a little bit of self-awareness.
Yeah.
But if there's a pursuit, there's an endeavor, there's a thing, there's an experience, there's a place that you want to get to, don't say, oh, it must be nice because that person did it. Like you can't go see the Grand Canyon because it's not that you can't afford it, it's you ate it at Applebee's. Like,
or you smoked it.
You know,
yeah,
you smoked it. Yeah. Like you slept it. You whatever. You drove it.
It was there.
Like it might be leaner for you than other people. So that person might be able to get the chicken nugget deal and go right. But if you want to go do this thing, you can go do this. So the fuel source, the energy resource for all of this endeavor is going to be your ability to withstand how much of a struggle this is going to be to do it.
For sure. There's a young kid on TikTok. He's got a channel called School of Hard Knocks, young, probably 20 kid in his 20s. And he goes around, he created his own channel and he talks to business owners, entrepreneurs, but the top of the top of the top. So he'll just find these guys, millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires, and he has the biggest platform for doing this. And he'll just go up to him as a 20-year-old kid. Hey, can you give me some business advice? Tell me when did you make your first million? But he always asks them, like, did you ever lose it all, or was it given to you? And 99% of them are like, yeah, I went bankrupt 3 times, and nothing was given to me. I had a relentless pursuit of what I was trying to build, with the company, and I got kicked down 100 times, and I just kept getting back up. And the thing that the reason why I got where I got was I refused to stay down.
That's it, dude. I think it's not your inability or your lack of resources, it's your capacity to handle sucking at something. And so that's where this concept of struggle well came, is like, you are going to struggle because you're not pursuing the life that you want to live, and you're going to regret that, and you're going to resent the people around you and the place that you're walking into work every single day because you are settled for less, and and that the weight of that is unbearable. That's a struggle. Yeah. Okay. And you're not struggling well, or you can take this thing on and be broke and be embarrassed and let people take their shots at you. And because it's a threat to them for the people that aren't doing it. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be relieved. They're not rooting against you. They're relieved that it's not working out for you, because then they'd be like, well, what have I been doing with my life? Yeah. So then but if you can hang in that until you get on the other side of sucking at something, you are struggling well. So whatever that is. And that is it's not the same type of deal. It's not that story doesn't have a conflict resolution and then at the end and then they roll the credits.
Right.
It's never ending. It's never ending. But the fuel source to be able to struggle well is grit.
Yeah.
It's the resiliency to continue on. And I think I've been thinking about that because everybody that's sort of that vernacular has gotten into, especially like podcast culture. I think every third episode of a Joe Rogan Experience is about resiliency now. That's just those words like hit the right algorithm and they pop up on people's things. And
it's kind of like the word. It's kind of like the word narcissist. Right.
If you say everybody's a narcissist now and everybody's telling you you're supposed to be resilient, that's just like, it was lime, put lime on everything a few years ago. Then it was avocados on everything now. Words and things and ideas have the same kind of thing. But what I think, here's where I'm at with resiliency. Your capacity for that is associated with how much encouragement you're getting.
Yeah.
And how much feedback that's being interpreted for you is going to help. Like I've come to this. I got no problem sucking at something if I know I'm with somebody that knows why I'm sucking at it.
Yeah.
If you can help at least interpret my terribleness into some meaningful correction, I will keep going. But if you help me, if I'm just completely lost, man, that's discouragement.
Yeah.
It's one thing that you're not going where you're trying to go. It's a whole other thing to have no idea where to go.
Right.
And so that is a way we can all help each other being more resilient with encouragement.
Absolutely.
And pointing people out like, look, dude, celebrate that you couldn't even do insert whatever that is 3 weeks ago.
I got a good one for that. So, before we moved buildings, we're in a different space now for the church. And, I had some churchy type people come up to me and they were complaining about people smoking on the steps. Okay. They're coming into church and people are smoking on the steps. Can you have those guys move? They're smoking on the steps. Wah, wah, wah. And I know who these guys are. And I've told them, don't stand by the front door. Like somebody doesn't want you blowing smoke in their face. And they weren't, but they were smoking in front of the church. And I had to tell that person, I'm like, do you know any of their backstories of those people out there? And I wasn't mean. I wasn't nasty. I was like, hey, shame on you. And they're like, no. I said, well, that guy Mike over there, he was just he was snorting meth about a month ago. And so he's hitting a vape. And that other guy over there, he overdosed from fentanyl 3 times. And he got out of bed on a Sunday morning and he came to church and he's smoking a Marlboro in front of the church.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Mike and, the other guy, I'm proud of you, bro. Hey, maybe someday you won't pick that cigarette up or that vape, but you ain't picking that needle up. And I'm glad you're here, homie. You're making progress. And yeah, man, I think, and not even just in those extreme, but yeah, as you're trying to grow and you're trying to build something and like you said, you're sucking at it and you're not fully locked in yet, and you haven't hit your stride, and to have somebody say, hey man, yeah, you're not, I'm gonna tell you the truth, you ain't there yet, but dude, you've made progress from the last, month that I've been around you. I've been telling my nephew, he has been training really hard off season this year. And I'm like, dude, the fact that you've been grinding all these months leading up to the football season, like it's going to affect the way you play, bro. Like, I want you to know that I see you and you're going to be stronger this year. And like, you're going to be able to come off that line a little faster and you're going to be able to push a little harder. And, I'm not saying, you know what I mean? You're going to be the best lineman that's ever stood on that line, but bro, like I see you. Right. I see you, bro. I see you.
But what you did there is you just facilitated an experience as to why he ever wanted to do it to begin with.
There you go.
Was to make somebody that meant something in his life, particularly an older male, and in this case, an older male that he's related to, that he admires, offered specific praise due to effort. Well, what you just, and like I've gone off the deep end in like why that matters so much is like neurologically, your neurons, when that happens, when you said that to him, right? The neuron that roots that loop back spits out a calcium deposit. And when people say like, oh, it's, create a memory or whatever, that's what it is. It's a bump. And so the sensory input, the impulse travels down those bumps, right? And I'm butchering it because I'm not a neuroscientist.
No, it's good. I get what you're saying.
Basically, when you have those experiences to where there was effort, intense effort, and then there was a payoff, right? Like you're hunting, you're looking for something, you can't find it, and then you find it, right? You get a shot of hormones that really encouraged the behavior.
Yeah.
And then you also get a neurological event that makes you remember that so that you replicate it.
Yeah.
So like that's when people say words matter. Like that's why we did the love language.
They literally do.
If I know you're a words guy, right? Then literally that is how I'm paying you instantaneously for this effort that I'm telling you as an expert. I'm saying if you keep doing this, you're gonna get where you want to go, and I see that, and you're doing great, man.
Yeah.
Well, you just literally rewired his brain.
So true. Which means probably the opposite is true if you grow up as a child never having that.
Exactly right.
Right. And I know you dealt with, and I won't say schools and players, but in your coaching career.
No. So when I was at Marshall, I'll tell you this story because this is fascinating. Okay, so we got to do some work with, Angela Duckworth is a award-winning, like big time social scientist at Penn University, and she wrote that book, Grit. And so that was really, really popular, like 2017. And I was reading it, and like we started kind of messing around with some stuff, and we reached out to her, and she was responding. We were doing these correspondence all this time. It was really, really interesting stuff that we were able to find out. But what was happening was we would, in these interviews, and I'm not a therapist, I'm not qualified for these kinds of things, but I'm expected to work with them. So we were coming across like real on traumas, right? And that's another word that's entered
buzzwords,
that's overused. But this was real stuff.
Those are real, yeah.
Right. And the New York Times had just written this like sort of hit piece on Duckworth's work about grit, basically like a liberal take on how dare you tell these traumatized children to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and just have more grit.
Yeah.
Right. That was like, so that you don't understand obviously what the trauma of poverty, and to tell them that they should just have more resiliency is almost racist. I mean, it was a thing that they made out of it. And so we were having this conversation, and she says, here's what we know so far about trauma. When you experience as a child random acts of violence done to you or done to people in front of you, right? You do not feel, for obvious reasons, that you are in control of when pain does or does not happen to you. So the world is a very, very unsafe place.
It's true. Right? I grew up like that. Yeah.
Yes. So like you're constantly, I always said like, when you're working with folks, like you can see somebody at a gas station and you can tell if they've done hard time. It is on their face.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Like it changes literally their facial structure.
Yeah.
To be under that kind of just immense pressurized hardship all the time. And when you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't, I can't relate that to you right now. But those children, those young people literally the parts of their brain that feels that will shut off. Okay? Now, here's why that matters so much. Because that part of your brain is also responsible for empathy and care for others and the ability to give and receive appreciation.
Wow.
Okay? So a traumatized young person, as a coping mechanism, is a psychopath.
Yeah.
Right? They cannot care about you because they had to turn that off.
Right. That's true.
So, like, when you see people like, oh my gosh, this is the worst person I've ever been around or whatever. Like, yes, I worked with a bunch of guys that were literally cutthroat pirates because their traumas turned their brains into thinking that way. Get what you can because they're going to get you.
Yeah.
Right? So then, and I'm sitting here like, guys, we need to be a team. Like, yeah, right, dude.
Right.
So what she was finding out was this can be rewired. If you give someone enough low-level pain mastery experiences, which is that's a big loaded phrase right there. But basically, if you put somebody in an environment and an experience that makes all of their senses have to fire. So the more novel it is, and the more exotic of a place that it is, and the more difficult that it is, the more all those things got to start switching back on.
So good.
Okay? Now, while it's happening, this is where it matters the most. Otherwise, you're just going to make things way worse, right? It's got to be expertly led. You have to have an expert. So they were doing this research it was called Outward Bound, where they were taking all these kids from the hood that were failing school, that were getting in trouble, that had criminal records, all these types of things, taking them to like Alaska and doing like really, really, really 50-50, iffy, this is kind of sketchy type stuff, hard things for people that don't know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
But with expert wilderness guides, okay, that were interpreting why they were having such a tough time with what they were doing, right?
Yeah.
To where enough of those experiences, they had to basically do a system override, a factory reset.
Yeah. That's good.
A factory reset.
I love that.
And what's counterintuitive here is you are putting traumatized people in more hardship.
Yeah.
It almost sounds cruel, right? But what you're doing, it's a very, very specific way of loving them, right? And so what you've done is you have made them invictus, right?
Yeah,
Masters of their own fate again. They are the captains in the driver's seat again. So now,
and how empowering.
How empowering. But now also trust is possible again.
Right.
Like there is possibly, I've seen a lot of bad in the world. I've seen a lot of things that have suggested there is no good, trust no one, take everything, get money, whatever. But this experience has shown me that, yes, that was terrible. And I didn't have control over that then, right? But I do now.
Yeah.
And because I have control of that again, I'm okay. I'm a little more okay with everybody. It's not that they don't have relapses and all of those kinds of things, but like that's really the work that we do.
It's awesome.
On a daily basis with guys. And so that's why we track everything. We relay back everything. We give a feedback to everything. It's brutal truth. Like it's not this like, you would not accuse the strength program at the University of South Carolina of being like this Christian outreach program. It is not.
Right.
It is, if you came and watched it.
Sure.
Like you'd be like, this is not what I heard about on the podcast.
Yeah.
Right. It's brutal.
Yeah.
But we're correcting as hard as we're connected to those people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we call it digging rights. Like you can't take a dig on somebody if you haven't gotten the right to dig there. You have to 1-800 call before you dig, right? You'll hit a gas line and kill everybody in the neighborhood.
That's so
right?
good.
So it's you have to develop a relationship. There has to be enough time with that person on task to be able to deliver something that's going to be really, really hard for them to hear.
Yeah.
But if I do that as soon as I know you, well, I'm just cruel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we've borrowed that page from that work that Duckworth was doing. I know I went on a wild tangent about that, but
that's awesome.
I think, yeah.
I think that's been true in my own life. Like everything you just said is like, yeah, and it is biblical, man. Like it's the transforming of the renewing of the mind. It's the, you know, in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. Like there's so much to what you're doing that really, I mean, you're covertly discipling these dudes. You know what I mean? Like I view it in that way. I really do.
Well, I think what's really, and I'll just to compliment you, is I'm really impressed by you, is it feels like you've made a lot of those discoveries without anybody telling you them. I think that's what's so fascinating about you to me is like you're all of those things and all of those events that I've talked about with those kids that I've worked with, but like you got yourself out of it. And I know I'm probably
appreciate it, man,
simplifying that, but it's fascinating to me that like, because sometimes I'm like, well, if these people don't have somebody to step in, then they're screwed. But it's like you figured out a way to be the hero and the guide in your own story, which is really, really fascinating to me.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's you're kind of forced into it, man. You know, in some sense, it's like when you never had that, guide, you never had that. You gotta figure it out. You gotta struggle well.
Yeah, but so a lot of people they don't figure it out, and it just kills them.
Yeah.
So it's like you're kind of, you know, a miracle, and that's why I'm so fascinated with your ministry and what you're doing.
Appreciate it, man.
With the concept, because I've heard since before I could speak, I heard people saying, you know, how you need Jesus, people need Jesus, and I agreed as much as I could in my child brain, but I didn't really I don't understand what that means.
What does that mean?
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And what is someone that doesn't even know what Jesus is or who he is or what I mean, we can make them listen to the praise band and they can fall down and they'll do it with you because they want something different too. Like they'll be willing, like, please just knock me out with your prayer or whatever. But then what about tomorrow?
Yeah.
When you go to work or to your prayer breakfast and this person gets up in the same place that had the needles they shot up with.
Yeah.
Like, what are we supposed to do for them? And so that's the fringe concept and the fringe industries of like, oh wait, discipleship with purpose and responsibility and a reason to wake up in the morning, that makes sense to me. And then the resiliency that you guys have shown, because it's not like it's been like super easy.
Oh my!
You freaking fight of your life to start the coffee shop, and then you do it again, and then it isn't some like reason. Like they're not making a movie about it to where like now it's got 10 chains. Like you're in the middle of that fight. Like so, it's just I'm encouraging you, man, because there's plenty of ways for you guys to find discouragement in the form of like it's not blown up into something or whatever, but man, you're doing it, man. Like sometimes it might not feel like you're doing it, but you're doing it, and the pursuit of doing it is doing it.
Yeah. Well, and we've had to try to figure it out as we go. We didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know what I was doing as a pastor. I still not. I mean, I'm learning, but yeah, it's but you sense the call and you just get out and you start doing it, and you figure it out as you go, and there's definitely been some times, many times. I wish I would have had a preacher tell me, like, you're gonna want to quit probably on a biweekly basis, bro. That's normal. And like, not everybody's gonna cheer you on, and some people are gonna be threatened by what you're doing, even though you have the right motives and you're not trying to, steal their people and, just all that Christian gang stuff, that territorialism, which is so weird to me. It's so strange. But yeah, it's just pushing through it. And I think for me, the thing that keeps me going is the people. And you see, man, and I'm sure you can resonate with this with coaching. When you see the lights come on in somebody's eyes and you see somebody tap into something that they've never tapped into before, and suddenly like, oh man, like I believe I can do something, you know? I believe I don't have to, my life doesn't have to just exist in this bubble. And you know, that there's more to who I am as a person than what I've experienced. And you see that person find hope, and you see somebody dream again. Yeah, that's the fuel for me, you know?
You're exactly right, man. Exactly right.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate you, brother. It's been great chatting with you. You know, as we kind of wrap this thing up, where do you see? I know this is a dumb question with coaching college football, but where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I have no idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, just I think, let me ask that a different way. Where do you see Luke Day mentally, spiritually, psychologically in a couple of years from now?
Oh man.
Regardless of where you're at geographically.
Yeah. Okay. We'll take that off the table. Just maybe, hopefully a little wiser, hopefully continually learning, about what it is I do for a living. And then also, just about people, about myself, and then hopefully a little bit more okay with both.
Yeah.
A little bit more grace for myself and for the people around me is what I'm trying to learn. Because I think my lack of peace there is out of those two places, you know? And so that's what I'm trying to learn how to do, as to do a really, really good job and be urgent and work as hard as you possibly can, but have a little patience and have a little empathy and also faith that, hey, it's going to be okay. You know, sometimes I think that part of doing a good job is to work like you are almost certain that this is going to fail. You know what I mean? And there's not a lot of joy in that. So it's finding the balance of like a little more optimism, a little more hope and joy in it while you work like your back is against the wall, because it is.
Yeah, it's such a weird tension to live in. But I think if you can find that middle ground, it's powerful. That's where you really see some cool stuff happen in your own personal life and what you're doing. I love it.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
Well, hey man, dude, I appreciate you as a friend. Like you and Trish have been amazing friends to us. You've talked me off a cliff many times. You know, you've reminded me that yes, I am crazy, but there's other crazy people out there that believe that another world's possible, you know, than the world that we see, and that we can push against, we can swim against the stream, we can do some things, we can think outside the box.
That's right. Do some cool stuff.
You know, for reminding me of the importance and the value of community and connection. And like, I just don't want to go to church. Like we should know each other and like grow with each other. And like, yeah, there's so much I can say about you, man, but I love you, brother.
Well, I appreciate you, man. Love you too, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. I'm proud of you, man. I'm stoked to see, you know, what the season's going to look like this year, see what's going on. We'll see what some of these Hamilton boys got going on. I was ready to run on the field last game last year, man. They were crushing it all season, bro. And then that last game, like, what are you guys sleeping out there? Somebody give me some melatonin before you started playing. But no, they've been working hard, man. I'm pumped about that season. But yeah, I appreciate you, and it's amazing what you're doing, bro. It's kingdom stuff what you're doing with these young guys, and there's power in what you're doing, and what you're doing has as much value as any sermon from a pulpit. And so, yeah, I just want to encourage you in that, and like, yeah, don't doubt that God's moving through that. And I know you know that, but like, I just want to remind you, bro, like, He's moving through that as much.
I appreciate it very much, man.
as he is a church service, and the world is his sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? It's not just in a building. And so yeah, it's powerful. It's amazing. And we'll definitely come see you guys soon, man. I'm missing that water.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And that barbecue, man. That barbecue. Oh my gosh.
That's right.
I'm salivating thinking about it.
Little barbecue, baby.
Love you, brother. Appreciate you. Everybody, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Fringe Podcast. I will post all the links in the description. Please check out Luke, Day, everything that's happening down south with the Gamecocks, as well as Man-Child Media. I'll post all those links and comments. Comment on his stuff. Help spread the word. He's got some dope merch on there as well. Dude, I want that shirt, man. Let me know when that shirt is being...
I know. Well, we got to get it reprinted again. I know.
Amazing designs. Yeah, powerful stuff that you're doing, bro. And like, the world needs your voice. The world needs your unique perspective, man. I love it.
Right on.
All right, homie. We'll catch up soon, man. I love you, brother. Good talking to you.
Hey, man. Great talking to you, dude. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sounds good, brother. Peace.
See you, dude.